Hi, everybody. Good to have you. This is Hondo Carpenter from Sports Illustrated's Fan Nation, Las Vegas Raiders Insider Podcast, part of the Fans First Sports Network. Good to be with you. I every week do a question and answer article that you're welcome to email in if you have questions or things you'd like me to discuss. And I usually take one or two of those questions and do a podcast over it. And that's what I'm doing right now. I got an email and I want to look at the name here. Let me look at the person's name. It is from Stacy, and Stacy asked me, um, how can I say that Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler love and respect Josh Jacobs, and that Josh feels the same for them, yet a deal wasn't done? And I think that's a fair question. Um, I, I'm going to reiterate something, and if you've heard it in the past, I apologize, but I want to get this out real quick. When I go to an NFL football game to cover it, I'm paid. The ushers are paid, the security guards are paid, the people running the turnstiles taking your tickets are paid, the vendors selling popcorn or hot dogs are paid, the players are paid, the coaches are paid, the medical staff's paid, the police are paid, the owner's paid, the management's paid. Everyone there is paid except the most important person, which is the fan. Now we know the word fan comes from fanatic. So for everyone there, it's a job, except the most important person, which is the fan. And they're called a fan because it's short for fanatic. They're passionate about it, matters to them. And I understand this question. I don't have any problem with it. I'm not God. You can question anything I say. I have no issue with this. And I'm going to give you an example. You know, parents love their children, but sometimes children will want things and parents have to make a budget decision. Hey, you know what? I'd like to get that for you. I probably will coming up at Christmas or your birthday, but not at this moment. Doesn't mean they don't love their kids or the kids don't love them. Now, I'm not equating Josh McDaniels, Dave Ziegler, and Josh Jacobs as a parent relationship. Don't hear that. But what I'm saying is sometimes you can be in a relationship and numbers don't work. And I think that is something that people need to understand. Josh Jacobs does not hate Josh McDaniels or Dave Ziegler. Neither do Josh or Dave hate him. They want him. Now, did the Raiders make an offer on late Friday night, early Saturday? Yes, I already told you that. Did the Raiders make an offer that Josh thought he could live with? Well, clearly not. He didn't sign anything. And I'm not taking the defense of the team or the defense of Josh. See, reporters, and it's not just in sports, we see it in politics and in everything. Everybody in the media nowadays seems to be taking an angle, and that's not my job. When I have an opinion, I'll give an opinion. But my job is to report, to give you the factual information of what's going on. And in today's NFL market, I mean, look at one of the best players is still on the market in Dalvin Cook. I mean, Saquon Barkley. Look at what's gone. He's still on the market. I mean, a franchise guy. Obviously, he's franchised, not like Dalvin Cook, who's on the market. And so they have to make decisions long term. Now, I've seen a lot of people have emailed me about, yeah, but we need to start keeping our homegrown talent. I totally agree. They did that with Max. Absolutely did it with Max. But what if Max wanted 60 million or 50 million, which is, quarterback money? He wouldn't be here. He'd have been franchise tagged. I'm not saying that Josh is that exuberant. I'm not even coming close to that. So please don't hear that. But my point is parties can have different opinions of what long term is. Parties can have different opinions about dollars. So, the Raiders, they were willing to give him a contract. They wanted some with some escalating clauses, meaning you perform at this level, it escalates the contract. It can improve guarantees. It's had several people ask me, how far apart are they? And I would say that they were, a few $1,000,000 apart. And so you may say, well, that's not much. Okay, maybe it's not for you. But when you're on a limited salary cap and you got to keep track of every dollar, and then you have to look at position. All right. Is the running back position more valuable than a defensive end or a quarterback? Then you get the argument, well, Jimmy's not that valuable. He's been injured all the time. Okay. To them, he is. Now, we're going to find out. If Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't play 17 games, then Dave Ziegler and Josh McDaniels made a brutal mistake in signing him because they got to have a guy who's going to play all 17 games this year. They believe he is, and I've said they deserve the benefit of a doubt until proven wrong there. But when proven wrong, if they are, they're going to take some heat, including from me. But you got to understand, you cannot allow yourself. Now, fans can, but I'm talking about from a general manager's perspective. And when I take everybody's perspective, man, I get hammered. And that's okay. I'm a big boy. I can take it. But when you take it as a business person, okay, I'll give you another one. Let's say you're running a company and you've got a comptroller or a CFO who is tremendous at keeping you on budget and on track or whatever. And you think, hey, that person's worth $2 million a year. And let's say you've got a sales manager that's doing a really good job and bringing in, hundreds of millions of dollars in sales. Okay, but you may say, okay, they're doing a good job, but they're not doing anything exponentially better than the next guy could go hire for the same amount of money. But man, my CFO is doing stuff that others can't. Then you pay your CFO more than your sales manager. And in a NFL team, you got to look at, okay, what if Jimmy is injured, which is a legitimate shot? Okay, we're going to have to go get somebody next year. So we're going to have to keep some dollars there. We also have some guys that are going to need some contract work, going to have to do some things there. We're going to need free agency. I'm not defending the team. I'm trying to take you inside the building to understand what the team is thinking. Please hear that, because I think sometimes people listen to the podcast and they'll say, by the way, go read the article today. You'll see what I mean. Boy, Hondo's only protecting Mark Davis, or he's only protecting Dave Ziegler and Josh McDaniels, or he's only going after the player, only protecting the players. I'm not. My job is to take you inside the building and let you know what all parties are thinking. Okay, Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler are trying to think long term. He's a great player. We love him. We love him in the locker room. He's a good guy. Yeah, we're willing to make an. I mean, they're willing to pay him $10 million this year. Let's not act like they were asking him to play for a ham sandwich and tickets to an Aces game. And I'm not ripping the Aces. I'm just saying because the Raiders own the Aces. Could have been a Golden Knights game. I mean, that's not what they're doing. They're saying, hey, we're willing to pay you $10 million. You're worth it. That's a lot of money, but you're worth a lot of money. You're a good player. Yeah, we're willing to give you a deal. Yeah, we're even willing to go longer on a deal, but we got to have some escalation clauses to make sure that you're playing at a certain level to make certain level kind of money. And that's if you want to say that that's defending the team, then that's your right and prerogative, but you're wrong. Now let's go over and look at Josh Jacobs for a minute. He's like, listen, I just led the NFL in rushing. Played every game. I looked great. I played great. I'm a great teammate. I'm in the locker room. I'm leading. I love my coaches. I'm not a troublemaker. I'm worth X amount of dollars. There's nothing wrong with him feeling that way. Not at all. My parents owned a very nice home once, and they knew the figure that they wanted for the home. And they were very adamant they weren't moving off that price. They got several offers. The house stayed on the market for several months, and people kept saying, you got to cut your price. No. We don't need to sell it. We're not broke. And we're not going to sell it till we get the price that we want. And ultimately, I think it was probably 13 or 14 months later, even after everyone told them, if you don't lower the price, no one's going to buy it. Somebody bought it for full list, which is what they wanted for the house. My parents felt like that's the value. Now, Josh Jacobs has an opinion of what his value is. I would tell you that the NFL, and when I say the NFL, I'm not referring to players, but management and teams, have a different value of what he is. Do I think it's wrong for the running backs to be upset? No, of course not. Everybody knows intrinsically what they think their value is. So no, I don't think he's wrong in the least bit. But you are what someone's willing to pay. I'll use another example. Years ago, I sold a home for a very good price. I was very happy with it. It's what my realtor told me the house was worth. It was what my wife and I thought it was worth before she even told us. So we sold the house. Well, it came back and it was $40,000 off what the appraisal was. So then we had to make a decision. Is the house, do we wait and try to sell it? Or do we go with this person? And we had to ultimately make a business decision. But the point was, is you're only worth what someone's willing to pay. Now, quick example. You stop at the store and get I don't know, 75-cent dollar water. Just a tiny one. It's not the big full size, just a little one. But you go and buy a water. You give them 75 cents a buck. I don't know what the little tiny ones are. I don't even remember. We buy them in bulk, but whatever the cost is. Okay, it's worth 75 cents, 50 cents to me because we buy them in bulk or a buck, whatever. You go find somebody, and it's been 119 degrees out here in Nevada. You go find somebody out in the desert with no access to water who's dying. They may give you $1 million for that. See, it only depends on what someone's willing to pay. So the Raiders knew what the market was in the NFL. It was the franchise tag. They weren't willing to pay more. Josh thought he's worth more, and he may be absolutely right. I don't know that there's anybody out there that would pay him what ideally. Now, in fairness to Josh, I've heard some people talking, ripping Josh. He wanted to reset the market. And again, I think that depends on reset. When everyone's getting franchise tags, I guess you could say that's resetting the market to want a long-term deal. But I don't think Josh was out there saying, I want 20 million a year or whatever. I don't think he was being ridiculous. Do I think he was wanting more than what the current NFL market was? Yes, I do. And I've talked to several people around the league and some directly involved in this and got that opinion. But going back to it, I don't think it's taken anyone's side. I think it's just understanding it's a business decision. So how can they still respect each other yet with this happening? Because they're adults. Have you ever left a job where you love the people you worked with, but someone was willing to pay you more money? Doesn't mean you left angry. Doesn't mean you hated the people you work with. And just like, the example of a parent telling their kid, yeah, maybe we'll buy that for your birthday, but not right now. I mean, I understand when you are emotionally involved, how difficult it is to say, man, I'd be hating them for not paying me. Okay. I want to reiterate, they're telling them we're going to pay you over $10 million to play football for 1 year. He may not like that offer, but it's not like they're asking him to play for a ham sandwich and a couple of Las Vegas Raiders tickets or a show on the strip. I mean, they're still offering him a lot of money. They're still showing him a lot of respect. And so Josh is not dumb. He's super smart. He understands that's a lot of money. And he understands, okay, it still is respect. And so that's where it sits today. So in answer of your question, how can I say that? I hope I answered it diligently. And I hope I was able to kind of take you inside the building and look at every angle. The biggest criticism I get is that people will say I'm a mouthpiece for Mark Davis, or I'm a protector of Josh and Dave, or I'm only speak for the players. Go read today's article. And when they do that, I think it proves that, at least to me, okay, I must be doing my job, because different people think I'm protecting other people. My job, and I want to reiterate this to you, take you inside the building, give you the best expert analysis. What am I hearing from in the building? That could be management, could be people that work in the building, it could be players. What am I hearing from around the NFL? What am I hearing from players? And then give you that information. I have never and will never use my media platform to tell people what to think. It's foolish and it's disrespectful. But I am going to tell you what's going around, what's happening, so you can then draw your conclusion. think this was a business decision by both parties. I don't think either party's wrong. And as I've stated for weeks, I expect Josh to be there when the regular season starts. This is going to be great for the running back room, going to get a ton of reps. I don't think it's anything to panic over. And yes, both parties, and I've said this all along, have a good relationship. There's mutual respect. Is there frustration? Yeah, I think both parties wanted a deal. It just didn't get done. But there's respect. And I understand why there's panic, because fans are the only ones that pay to be in the building. They're passionate. They care about it. It matters. And I get that, not disrespecting that. But I'm telling you, there's not that sense of, at least at this point, maybe it changes over the coming weeks, don't know. But there's not that sense of, we hate you, I hate you at all. It's just not there. So thanks everybody for joining us. Again, I'm Hondo Carpenter from Sports Illustrated's Fan Nation, Las Vegas Raiders Insider Podcast, part of the Fans First Sports Network. We appreciate you. Thank you for taking more time out of your day, and hope you enjoy the question and answer article this week. Hope some of you got your questions in there.